So hi, how are you? How is everyone here at Book Place? This is Book Talk, another episode that we get to hear from an author. And today we have a great guest with us who is none other than Mark Bello. Now, Mark Bello is an established author, award-winning author. He is also an attorney and a social justice advocate. So we are very pleased to have with us here Mark. Welcome to the show, Mark, and let's get to know what you have in store for us.
Thank you, Anthony. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and thank you too. So please, can we know a little bit about you? And yes, where are you from? Tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Well, we talked a little bit off here, but I've been an attorney
Yeah.
for 44 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've seen a lot in. I'm 69 years old. I've seen a lot in my 69 years.
Okay.
Um, and I've represented people from all walks of life,
Yeah.
uh, mostly doing uh, personal injury cases,
Mm-hmm.
representing people who've been cheated by corporations, including their own insurance companies,
Okay.
brutalized or cheated by government officials. I've written articles about the cases here and there, but I have written a series of legal thriller novels
Mm-hmm.
about some of my own experiences with the criminal and civil justice systems.
Okay.
And if you don't understand the difference between the two, I'll explain it.
Okay.
But I've seen a lot of ups and downs. I've seen good people and bad come and go in our society.
Yeah.
Um, I witnessed the civil rights movement of the '60s.
Okay.
I was a teenager back then.
Yeah.
I was subject to the draft in the Vietnam War and protested the Vietnam War. I've seen Watergate. I've seen two impeachment events.
Oh, yeah.
I thought I saw it all, but then Donald Trump became president,
Yeah.
and America just went crazy. It seems to me.
Okay.
Um, the first book I wrote,
Yeah.
I wrote based on an experience I had in the civil justice system.
Okay.
Two young kids were molested by a priest,
Mm-hmm.
and the case was the case of my life. It was very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
The church covered it up,
Yeah.
acted deplorably.
Mm-hmm.
They um, hid things, they destroyed things, they moved priests from place to place to hide their conduct. And this case stayed with me, even though it happened in the '80s.
Yeah.
It stayed with me for years, and I promised myself I'd write a book about it someday.
Okay.
And 30 years later, roughly
Yeah.
32 years later,
Mm-hmm.
my first book was written, which is called Betrayal of Faith. And
Betrayal.
it's a fictional account. All of my books are fiction,
Okay.
what I call realistic fiction. They're based on fact,
Yeah.
but all of my books um, are based on real life events. And that book told the story of how it felt
Mm-hmm.
as a young lawyer, a David taking on a Goliath organization like the Catholic Church
Yeah.
and having them lie and cheat to try to win.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
we defeated them, and I created Betrayal of Faith as essentially a fictional account of uh, that real story. Um, the novel creates an organization within the church called the Coalition,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like a CIA type of organization that tries to defeat this lawyer and his clients
Okay.
in pursuing justice.
Ah.
It's a pretty interesting novel, if I may say so myself.
Okay. When did
uh,
you write this book?
2016 is when it was published
Okay, so it's
for the first
about
time.
5 years old now.
Yeah,
That's when
it's
you
been
published your first book.
it's been re re it's been edited and republished, but
Okay.
the first edition of it was 2016.
Oh, that's wonderful. At 2016, that means that you were 64 years old.
I was 64 years old. Yeah.
64 years old.
Now
So, yeah,
I wrote it over several years. So I
okay,
started writing it in my 50s.
yeah.
Um, it like I said, I thought it was going to be the only book I'd ever write.
Mm-hmm.
So I was retelling my own story,
Yeah,
and I was practicing law at the time. So it wasn't something that I could devote full time to.
okay.
Um, and then when we get to the 2012 2013 era, and I'm slowing down my practice.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to devote much more time to the novel, and that's why I was able to finish it.
Oh, wonderful. So it means that it's never too late to begin to pursue a dream that you have.
No, I did some research on that, and I'm not the oldest author ever, obviously, but
Okay.
uh, I'm one of the few that started his career at such a late age.
Yeah, because I've seen some people, once they become that age of retirement, they go into a cocoon, they go into hiding.
We have a lot of time on our hands.
Yeah, and now, I mean, this is when you have all the time in your hands to
That
bring
is true.
out something that is going to help people who have
That
not
is
seen
true.
it like you've seen it, because at that age you've seen it. I mean, like you said, you think that you've seen it all, but
That
even though you think that you've seen it all, you've seen quite enough that can be very useful to someone out there.
that is true.
Yeah. So the question is, you're talking from, I mean, from a point where you've been into the system and the justice system, and then you come here presenting us a book and several books telling us that the system is fraud, that there is something missing in the justice system. I mean, we all thought that that is the perfect place where you get justice.
Well, um, first of all, there are two justice systems. One is the criminal justice system,
Yeah.
where someone commits a crime
Mm-hmm.
and the state or the federal government or the local government prosecutes them
Yeah.
and tries to penalize them or punish them, often by putting them in jail.
Mm-hmm.
The civil justice system
Yeah.
is when a person is harmed by another citizen,
Yeah.
by the government,
Mm-hmm.
by a corporation,
Yeah.
or what have you, and they sue that person or that corporation or that government for money, for damages.
Okay.
Um, so, for instance, if you look at the George Floyd case,
Mm-hmm.
George Floyd um, was criminally wronged
Yeah.
by this police officer,
Mm-hmm.
and the police officer was charged with murder in a criminal court.
Mm-hmm.
But George Floyd's family
Mm-hmm.
went to court against the system, against the police department
Yeah.
and the city,
Mm-hmm.
and recovered civil damages for the harm done to him.
Okay.
And they got a multi-million-dollar reward
Yeah.
in civil court.
Mm-hmm.
So, so there are two different systems,
Mm-hmm.
both of which have uh, flaws
Mm-hmm.
and often result in injustice to our citizens. And
Okay.
that's the stuff I try to write about.
Oh.
Um, when I finished Betrayal of Faith,
Mm-hmm.
like I said earlier, I thought it was going to be my only book. It recounted my experience with the church. Um, it's a very interesting novel, and it's got a lot of twists and turns and mystery, and I think people conspiracies, and I
Mm-hmm.
think people will like it.
Okay.
But in 2016,
Mm-hmm.
we had an election here in America,
Yeah.
and as I'm watching television, CNN, uh, MSNBC, Fox News, even
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing a country I don't recognize anymore. I'm seeing people openly speak out, uh, um, saying, anti-black, anti-Muslim, anti-Latino, anti-immigrant
Mm-hmm.
um, uh, slogans, and a presidential candidate
Mm-hmm.
who's embracing this and cheerleading
Mm-hmm.
and encouraging
Mm-hmm.
this kind of rhetoric.
Yeah.
Could he possibly win?
Mm-hmm.
I it scared the hell out of me, and I started to write a book about um, just that. This fictional evil
Yeah.
bigot
Mm-hmm.
millionaire runs for president.
Mm-hmm.
The president in my book is his name is Ronald John,
Okay.
and he gets elected president of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
The name of the book is Betrayal of Justice,
Mm-hmm.
and it's essentially a fictional account of the 2016 election.
Yeah.
Um, now, I've had a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
right. I've been on shows that lean right
Mm-hmm.
rather than left,
Mm-hmm.
and I get accused of doing a hit job on Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And my response is, I wrote the book before he became president.
Mm-hmm.
So if I wrote a book about a fictional president
Yeah.
who did bad things, and
Mm-hmm.
you think he sounds like Donald Trump, whose fault is that? Mine or Donald Trump's? Donald Trump imitated my president,
Okay.
not the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, are there comparisons between the two? Yes,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a fictional account
Okay.
of what I was worried about
Mm-hmm.
and what I hoped wouldn't happen,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, it did. Bad things started happening while he ran for president
Mm-hmm.
and continued happening while he was president.
Yeah.
And essentially, that kind of launched this uh, novelist career, if you
Mm-hmm.
will,
Mm-hmm.
that are inspired by real cases and real events in America today,
Mm, okay.
as opposed to my first novel, which was inspired exclusively by my own experience in my law practice.
Yeah.
So, what I try to do is explore some of our country's most difficult social justice issues, and
Oh,
that's what my books try to do.
no, wonderful. And as you try to bring to light the things that do not happen right in the betrayal of faith and betrayal of justice, I believe that you're aiming at some people who are going to read it and get something from it. And it's my guess that you, even exposing this, some of the injustices that we may not be aware of because you have been into the system and you know the injustices and the wrongs that are being done there. I want to believe that in addition to bringing them out, you also portray a solution or a suggestion for a solution for how to do things right in the novels.
I do.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I'm right.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean they'll happen,
Okay.
but I do propose solutions to the various problems in my novels.
Okay.
Um, uh, in 2019,
Yeah.
I published my fourth book. We
Mhm.
skipped one.
Mhm.
Betrayal in Blue is my third book. It's about white supremacy
Okay.
and um, what I don't know whether they call it this in your country, but we have what's called the blue wall
Mhm.
in in America,
Okay.
and cops protecting good cops protecting bad cops.
Yeah.
Cops that are unwilling to come forward and expose the nastiness of a bad cop.
Yeah.
So the white supremacist tendencies of some police officers
Mm-hmm.
is kind of exposed in Betrayal in Blue. But
Okay.
in 2019, I wrote a book called Betrayal in Black,
Mm-hmm.
and it was obviously written before George Floyd.
Yeah.
Um, it's based on a police officer traffic stop shooting of an innocent citizen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the uh, in the novel,
Mm-hmm.
a robbery happens at a Burger King.
Okay.
The two suspects are um, described as young black men,
Yeah.
teenagers,
Mm-hmm.
and the cops are on the lookout for these two men.
Okay.
Um, a 40-year-old black man is driving his car through town.
Mm-hmm.
It's predominantly a white town,
Yeah.
and he gets pulled over by a cop because the cop suspects, thinks he looks like the Burger King robber,
Mm-hmm.
and his passenger looks like the other Burger King robber.
Okay.
As I said, the robbers are teenage boys.
Mm-hmm.
This is a 40-year-old man, and the passenger in his vehicle
Yeah.
is his wife, not a man at all.
Mm-hmm.
In the back seat are their two children,
Okay.
4 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
This is obviously not the Burger King robber.
Yeah.
The cop pulls him over.
Mm-hmm.
He rolls down the window. The cop knows right then that these are not the people he's looking for,
Yeah.
but still he persists.
Mm-hmm.
And the man, who is a law abiding citizen,
Mm-hmm.
tells him that he has a gun, that he is legally carrying a gun in his glove compartment.
Yeah.
The officer asked him for his license and registration,
Mm-hmm.
and he reaches for his license and registration,
Mm-hmm.
and the cop says, "Hands on the steering wheel."
Yeah.
He puts his hands on the steering wheel,
Yeah.
and the cop says, "License and registration." And
Mm-hmm.
basically, the man says, "I can't do both, officer." And he reaches for his license and registration, and the cop shoots him on the theory that he's reaching for a gun.
Mm-hmm.
That's the premise of Betrayal in Black.
Okay.
Um, Now, this officer, uh, there's been a lot written about my novel,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the praise I get, or some of the comments I get, if you
Yeah.
will,
Yeah.
relate to putting myself um, into each character,
Yeah.
uh, expressing different points of view.
Mm-hmm.
This is a white police officer who doesn't realize he's a racist,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I there are a lot of us out there. There are a lot of white people
Mm-hmm.
who um, really don't understand um, their own racist tendencies.
Okay.
Um, and he is very conflicted. He didn't think he did anything wrong.
Yeah.
He thought he was at risk, and he shot someone who put him at risk.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and his big question as he's going through this process,
Yeah.
as whether he's going to be criminally charged or not. And I don't want to ruin the novel for people,
Mm-hmm.
but am I a racist? He keeps asking himself that question, and he's tormented by it.
Okay.
Um, so this uh, these racial issues, these conflicts between the black community and the police,
Mm-hmm.
aren't always as black and white as we see them.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're shades of gray,
Yeah.
and it's kind of an interesting study in the mentality of the police officer,
Mm-hmm.
as well as the mentality of the man who's pulled over by that police officer.
Okay.
So I'm pretty proud of the novel, and I hope people find it and read it. By the way, the interesting thing about Donald Trump's America back in 2019
Yeah.
was I was on social media trying to um, create a dialogue about the book,
Mm-hmm.
and I wrote a question on
Okay.
Facebook,
Yeah.
and the question was, how many innocent black men must die at the hands of those who swear to protect and serve until we stop the madness?
Uh-huh.
Now, I thought I was going to get a bunch of positive responses to that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't.
Okay.
I got things like, why is it only black people that have problems with the police?
Yeah.
What? That's not true.
Mm-hmm.
Why do black people comprise only 12% of the population, but are responsible for 35% of all violent crime?
Uh-huh.
Um, that's not true.
Yeah.
If you keep voting for Democrats
Mm-hmm.
who use racism as a political tool, it will never end.
Yeah.
That's another comment I got.
Mm-hmm.
How many whites have to die? Everybody's concerned about the blacks. Have you forgotten that George Floyd tried to pass a $20 bill counterfeit?
Mm-hmm.
That's why he was stopped. Somebody actually justifies murdering a black man because he passed a, he might have, we don't even know that he passed a counterfeit bill,
Yes.
but um, that's a death penalty offense in America, passing a $20 bill.
Uh-huh.
So the overwhelming response to my little question
Yeah.
was negative,
Mm-hmm.
and it caused me to wonder, when did we start holding the police to a lower standard
Yeah.
than we hold our own criminals?
Mm-hmm.
When did we start blaming the victims for the criminal acts of the perpetrators?
Mm-hmm.
In George Floyd's case, the criminal was the cop.
Yeah.
And the biggest question I have is, when did the cops become the entire justice system?
Mm-hmm.
Do they're entitled to stop, maybe arrest a person,
Yeah.
but they're not entitled to convict him, charge him with a crime, convict him of the crime, and carry out the sentence.
Mm-hmm.
The sentence in George Floyd's case was death
Yes.
for passing maybe a $20 bill.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I just don't understand how we got to that point.
Okay.
And what I really don't understand
Mm-hmm.
is, when did a large percentage of Americans decide to hold cops to a lower standard than they hold criminals?
So are those questions in the book and you ask them to the reader?
I did.
Yes.
I got a lot of comments about, I'll never read your garbage or something like that. If you don't agree with them, then what you write is not worth reading.
Uh-huh.
But I can't think of the name of the woman, but she wrote a book called White Fragility.
Okay.
And that's a real phenomenon in our country.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how it is where you are, but I think that's the reason why so many people responded to the post the way they did.
Okay.
But it leads you to the question, doesn't it? How could the same country elect a Barack Obama and a Donald Trump?
Yeah.
And in my opinion,
Yeah.
Obama's election inspired those people who were hiding in the closet to come out and elect a Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I think while we've made progress on race in America,
Yeah.
um, we've also, in a lot of ways, moved backwards on race in America. You wonder where the empathy is for um, all the people in these kinds of situations.
Uh-huh. So what's the way forward?
I'm sorry, say it again.
So what is the way forward?
What did
The way, where do we go from here?
Oh, well, I've gone from there. I've written uh, since Betrayal in Black, my fourth novel. I've written Betrayal High, which is about a school shooting.
Yeah.
Um, and there's another huge problem in America that seems to be getting worse, and that's mass shootings.
Mm-hmm.
And Betrayal High is about a mass shooting at a high school.
Yeah.
Um, um, Betrayal High was followed by Supreme Betrayal,
Okay.
my latest book,
Yeah.
which is based on the um, Kavanaugh hearings,
Mm-hmm.
uh, uh, appointing a suspected sexual predator
Mm-hmm.
to the Supreme Court. Now, when I say it was inspired by the Kavanaugh hearings,
Mm-hmm.
it was. I'm not comparing my character to Brett Kavanaugh. Brett Kavanaugh hasn't been proven guilty of anything.
Yeah.
Um, there was an accusation made. She had her time in front of the uh, uh, Senate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they decided to appoint him and ignore her,
Mm-hmm.
and her charge stands as that. It's a charge.
Yeah.
In my book, the guy is an evil, nasty, mean predator. He's
Mm-hmm.
guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the people who are putting him forward know he's guilty in their
Yeah.
heart,
Mm-hmm.
and do it politically anyway.
Okay.
Um, it's a huge embellishment of what happened in the Kavanaugh hearings, but what concerns me and why I wrote the book
Yeah.
is this idea that politics and whether or not a political ideology supports the way you think
Mm-hmm.
is more important than the possibility of putting a criminal, a sexual predator, on the Supreme Court.
Okay.
And that's what Supreme Betrayal is about.
Mm-hmm.
It's also about speaking truth to power
Yeah.
and a brave woman coming forward and trying to defeat this nomination using my hero lawyer, Zachary Blake,
Mm-hmm.
as her mouthpiece.
Okay.
Um, most of my books, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
feature strong female protagonists.
Okay.
Uh, 4 out of the 6 books feature strong females as the lead characters or clients alongside Zachary Blake,
Okay.
who is the hero attorney who represents them.
Uh-huh. Oh, wonderful. So is that a call to the female race to rise up and become as strong as they should be?
Oh, I think very clearly men have failed.
Yeah.
The country has gone to hell in a handbasket under male rule, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time for females to take over and make our country better than the men left it.
Okay.
So I feel strongly. By the way, Betrayal High,
Yeah.
the school shooting book,
Mm-hmm.
is also about. It's not only about gun control and gun violence and mass shooting violence in America, but
Okay.
it's also about bullying and treating kids poorly in school and uh, if a kid is different, consequently he's bullied in school.
Yeah.
What should parents, teachers, and school administrators do? Should they look the other way, or should they uh, openly try to combat that? And what can the gun industry and the government do to prevent these kinds of situations? And I try to offer some solutions in all of my books, including
Okay.
this one.
Mm-hmm.
Police reform, in Betrayal in Black,
Yeah.
before defund the police became famous.
Okay.
In this case, it's an issue of too much money flowing in the gun industry, and some form of gun control in Betrayal High,
Mm-hmm.
and in Supreme Betrayal, it's uh, don't let bad things happen just because you feel you're just a citizen
Mm-hmm.
and these people have power.
Okay.
Our voices have power.
Yeah.
I write these novels because I'm a citizen,
Mm-hmm.
and I can express my point of view, and that gives me power.
Okay.
Um, if people read them and
Yeah.
embrace them, we
Mm-hmm.
all have power.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Silence is what depowers us. It prevents us from having power. Our voices give us power. And
Yeah. True.
I encourage, not everybody can write a novel.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody can write 6 novels.
Yeah.
Um, I'm probably unique in that regard,
Uh-huh.
but everybody can speak out against injustice.
That's sure. That's true. And it's good that you have done that. We thank you for taking that bold step, having experienced things firsthand, and bringing them to the limelight so that others can see. Now, in several of the books, you tell us how you have you have put forward an event that corresponds to one that comes in the future. It's like you've foreseen that occurrence happen, and the president and the evil president on George Floyd case and others.
It wasn't foresight; it was hindsight. Um,
Okay.
um, what I was concerned about is in Betrayal of Justice.
Yeah.
I saw his tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
I said to myself, can somebody like this actually be, after Barack Obama, after somebody as decent and human and caring, whether you agree with his politics or not,
Yeah.
that's not my issue. You can't
Mm-hmm.
say, boy, this is a bad guy.
Yeah.
Um, and what I was concerned about is somebody who starts speaking anti-Muslim epithets,
Okay.
somebody who says that Mexicans are bringing drugs and crime,
Mm-hmm.
um, and we should close our borders.
Yeah.
Uh, Someone who calls out the black community and says, "What do you have to lose?" Um, he scared me, and
Okay.
and I and what I basically did is said to the country, is this is the type of person he sounds like.
Okay.
And as the campaign is going on in 2016,
Yeah.
I'm writing this novel,
Mm-hmm.
and he's saying things, and I'm putting them into this book.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, oh my God, did he just say that?
Yeah.
That's something Ronald John would say.
Okay.
Um, so the book is finished.
Yeah.
Uh, it gets released around the time he becomes president.
Okay.
And I'm saying to myself, hopefully he reads the book,
Yeah.
or somebody close to him reads the book,
Okay.
and they take a sharp turn and don't become this bad guy that I wrote about.
Yeah.
He had that opportunity. He had an opportunity to say, I was just blowing smoke. It was a campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I'm president now.
Mm.
I don't just represent white people or Christian people. I represent all Americans.
Yeah.
He had a chance to do that, and he failed miserably.
Uh-huh.
He imitated my guy.
Yeah.
I didn't imitate him.
Okay.
And that's a sad thing for America, and we're still suffering for it.
Yeah. Ah, okay.
But my book was based on, in all of my books for that matter,
Yeah.
If you want to talk about um, Betrayal in Blue is the only true fictional account of all of my novels. Every one of them, other than that one,
Mm-hmm.
has been based on a particular event that happened in America.
Okay.
Betrayal in Black was based on an actual traffic stop shooting in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Um, the victim was a gentleman by the name of Philando Castile, if you're
Mm-hmm.
familiar with that incident.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, it's not the same incident,
Yeah.
it's different, and it takes place in a fictional town.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the issues discussed are uh, what I'm going to call the universal problem of the shootings of innocent black men.
Okay.
It's not just one incident, it's many incidents
Yeah.
all rolled into this novel,
Mm-hmm.
but it was based on that one. Betrayal High was based on the Parkland, Florida
Mm-hmm.
shooting.
Mm-hmm.
My own nephew
Your nephew.
went to school.
Yeah.
Great nephew.
Okay.
I'm an old man. He's a young kid.
Yeah.
Um, Went to school at the middle school
Okay.
that sits right next door
Mm-hmm.
to Parkland High School,
Okay.
um, and they were on lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of hit me personally, and I said to myself, "Oh my God, can you imagine having your own kid in this kind of a situation?
Mm-hmm.
This must have been terrifying."
Sure.
And I decided to do a lot of research on school shootings and what have
Okay.
you, and wrote Betrayal High.
Uh-huh.
Um, Betrayal Supreme, as I indicated, uh, was based on the was written after the Kavanaugh hearings.
Okay.
Um, uh, it upset me. It upset me that, and again, I don't share his political ideology.
Mm-hmm.
I'm much more liberal, uh, um, and I like uh, a Supreme Court that leans toward citizen justice
Mm-hmm.
rather than uh, a conservative ideology.
Okay.
Um, but that's not why I wrote the book. The reason I wrote the book is that they were willing to ignore
Mm-hmm.
who and what he might have been. And I think she made a compelling case for who Brett Kavanaugh is.
Mm-hmm.
And they were willing to ignore that because he shared their politics.
Okay.
That bothered me immensely.
Okay.
And um, had they rejected him, Trump was still president.
Mm-hmm.
Trump still could have appointed a conservative. It wouldn't have changed the ideology of the court,
Okay.
but it would have prevented the possibility that there's a sexual predator on our Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought they should give more credence to that.
Yeah.
And I wrote a book that embellished that um, endeavor.
Yeah.
That, would they appoint this guy even if they knew he was a criminal?
Mm-hmm.
And you'll have to read the book to find out.
Oh, yeah. So whoever is listening gonna read the book to find out much more. I have a question to ask.
Yes.
In many of the books, you bring out the female in the protagonists that you put there as main characters. You bring them out very strongly. Now, the question I have for you is, having the experience that you have and having the knowledge that you have, and using the hindsight, as you said, do you foresee in the near future a female president in America?
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know whether it'll happen in my lifetime. I don't
Yeah.
know how soon it will happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would imagine that Kamala Harris will be a strong candidate
Okay.
um, one day in the future.
Yeah.
As to whether or not she's elected, that whether America's ready to do that or not,
Okay.
um, it seems to me we're divided as ever.
Uh-huh.
But we'll see.
Okay.
What I do see, and what I said earlier,
Yeah.
is how I feel. I think women have a much better um, bullshit meter,
Mm-hmm.
uh, are much less tolerant
Okay.
of the kinds of things we're talking about,
Yeah.
and would do a much better job of making us a more compassionate, caring, um, inclusive, warm country.
Oh, okay.
I think we need to be mothered a little bit
Uh-huh.
rather than fathered. I'm tired of the fathers of our country. I want to see the mothers of our country. Um, I'd like to see what they can do. So
Oh. Mhm.
so the answer to your question is I don't know, but I hope that happens in my lifetime.
You do hope that is gonna happen.
And we're seeing more women in business.
Yeah.
We're seeing more women CEOs
Mm-hmm.
in large corporations. We're
Yeah.
seeing more women in government.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing more women governors, more women senators.
Yeah.
Uh, women are asserting themselves into our society, yeah, and in our into our businesses and into our government, much more than they ever had in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, More women judges, more women lawyers.
Yeah.
Um, when I started practicing law, there were very few women
Mm-hmm.
going to law school and becoming lawyers and judges. Now there's as many women uh, in law schools and legal careers as there are men.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, you know, I didn't set out to write books that were uh, female character led,
Yeah.
um, but it just worked out that way.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it created a good dynamic for Zach to have um, a female client.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'll spoiler alert. Um, he ends up marrying his client in the first book.
Okay.
Um, Not in he didn't marry her in that book,
Yeah.
but they get married later in life.
Okay.
Um, uh, so she, representing her two kids in this clergy abuse case,
Mm-hmm.
was my first female protagonist.
Yeah.
It had in the real case, um, a divorced mother was my client.
Mm-hmm.
So that came naturally to me, having a
Mm-hmm.
female client
Yeah.
in that book, and maybe that's what paved the way for the other females um, going forward.
Okay.
In the second book, the uh, a young woman, Betrayal of Justice,
Mm-hmm.
a young woman is falsely accused of murdering a white supremacist.
Mm-hmm.
She's a Muslim, and the
Mm-hmm.
white supremacist has just bombed her mosque. Um, President John, finding out that a Muslim is on trial for murder
Okay.
and wanting to advance his anti-Muslim agenda,
Mm-hmm.
wants her convicted. So she not only must take on the local government,
Yeah.
but she's got to take on the president of the United States. Um, it's an interesting study in religious prejudice.
Okay.
Um, Betrayal in Blue, the book that follows it, is kind of a not a sequel, but it's a follow up. A white supremacist um, tries to avenge the result of what happens in Betrayal of Justice,
Mm-hmm.
and a uh, cop chases him down and gets falsely accused of his murder.
Okay.
Uh, that book is not female. The client is male. It's the cop it's the hero cop of Betrayal of Justice
Yeah.
becomes the victim cop in Betrayal in Blue.
Okay.
Um, and as I told you, the in Betrayal in Black, the police shooting of an innocent black man, um, the hero client is his widow.
Mm-hmm.
In Betrayal High, the um, victims of school shootings,
Yeah.
kids and their families, take on the gun manufacturers and the school system and the city.
Mm-hmm.
In Supreme Betrayal, again, a female emerges and takes on the Supreme Court and the president's nomination for a Supreme Court justice.
Okay.
So it just circumstances dictate what I write. My seventh novel
Mm-hmm.
again features two women,
Okay.
a young mother who goes to Syria
Yeah.
to introduce her daughter to her grandmother who
Mm-hmm.
lives in Syria,
Mm-hmm.
and she gets stopped and kidnapped, her and her daughter, by ISIS.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time this is happening,
Mm-hmm.
an illegal immigrant family in the Detroit area
Mm-hmm.
is um, gathered up at a plant in a mass ICE raid
Okay.
and carted off to a detention center.
Mm-hmm.
And the two mothers essentially are uh, confronted with a battle uh, using Zachary Blake as their attorneys,
Okay.
or Zachary Blake's office.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the book is called Betrayal at the Border,
Okay.
and it's about the immigration crisis in America.
Yeah.
And again, two females lead the way.
Ah.
So uh, it just seems to be my tendency. I can't, I can't explain it.
Yeah. Now, this is your book in writing. It's not released
It
also.
has not been released yet.
You have
Not,
two books waiting to be released. Am I right?
I have, well, but Supreme Betrayal was just released.
Yeah.
Betrayal at the Border will is being edited. It'll probably be released sometime in the winter,
Okay.
maybe over the holiday.
Yeah.
I also wrote a novella that we haven't talked about.
Yeah.
Uh, it's a prequel.
Mm-hmm.
Zachary Blake sits down with his grandfather.
Yeah.
Um, the grandfather has promised the young boy at the time, on the eve of his bar mitzvah.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Jewish boy,
Yeah.
and he's going to be bar mitzvah tomorrow.
Okay.
And his grandfather promised him, on when he's bar mitzvah, he would tell him the story of his Holocaust experience.
Yeah.
And the book basically talks about the grandfather's escape from Auschwitz
Mm-hmm.
during World War II and the Holocaust.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and he tells that story to his grandson.
Yeah.
That is a novella. It's a short story.
Okay.
You can get that for free on my website at markmbello.com,
Yeah.
or at Amazon.
Yeah.
The book is free.
Okay.
I'm also writing a cookbook.
Ah.
That's a unique experience for me.
Wonderful.
Zachary Blake's family cookbook.
Hey, you
So
love cooking.
It's a bunch of Jewish delicacies, a lot from family and friends of my own, but I've made the book Zachary Blake's family cookbook. So
Okay.
there's a lot of interesting kibitzing, Jewish shtick
Okay.
in the book, that people will appreciate. It was a lot of fun, and right now that book is being, I've written it.
Yeah.
It's being put together as a cookbook with pictures and so on and so forth.
Wow.
So I don't know yet what I'm going to do with that, but that should come out soon.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Keep writing.
So
Keep writing.
that's what I'm doing right now.
Oh, keep writing. Keep writing.
Thank you.
Now, I have a question on the series of Betrayal. I understand that they can be read as a series and they can also be read as standalones, if I'm right, yeah?
Um, most people uh, say
Yeah,
that the books can be standalone.
yeah.
Um, I certainly wrote them. Um, I mean, there's a sequence to them.
Mm-hmm,
Uh, in the first book, Zachary is a down and out, struggling,
mm-hmm.
teetering on alcoholism
Yeah,
lawyer.
yeah.
He's having difficulty, and this client shows up at his door.
Mm-hmm,
Surprisingly,
yeah.
he didn't expect it,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, essentially offers him the opportunity to resurrect his career.
Okay.
His first his first inclination, because he's not a good guy at that point,
Yeah,
his first inclination is to sell her out.
yeah.
He goes to the church and he tries to negotiate as quick and easy number as he can,
Mm-hmm.
and he tries to settle the case out from under her, and she fires him,
Okay.
and he begs her to take him back.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, uh, he has a um, let's call it a spiritual renewal.
Mm-hmm.
He finds himself again and becomes the uh, hero of my six, soon to be seven novels.
Okay.
Um, so he progresses uh, somewhat in each book.
Yeah.
Um, as someone who wrote seven of them,
Mm-hmm.
I would encourage people to read them in order.
Okay. From starting from which?
Having said that, if you just picked up Betrayal in Black or Betrayal High or Supreme Betrayal
Okay.
and read it as a lawyer representing a client
Mm-hmm.
in a particular situation,
Yeah.
yes, you could easily read that
Uh-huh.
as a standalone
Okay.
if you're not interested in following Zachary Blake's career from Betrayal High forward. You
Uh,
follow what I'm saying?
yes.
They
Yes.
can certainly be read as a hero lawyer representing a hero client
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Great, great,
by themselves.
great, and wonderful. Uh, and it seems now those books, 7 books, it means that you've been writing an average of 1 book per year, more than 1 point something books per year. Up to,
It's not, it hasn't been that way.
yeah.
Um, it's been more inspiration.
Okay.
Um, the presidential election inspired Betrayal of Justice.
Okay.
The rise of white supremacy inspired Betrayal in Blue.
Yeah.
Cop on black shootings and the fact that they continue to happen inspired Betrayal in Black.
Okay.
Parkland High School, uh, Marjorie Stoneman High school shooting,
Yeah.
and others like it, Columbine, and all the ones that have happened since Columbine,
Okay.
inspired Betrayal High.
Yeah.
The Kavanaugh hearings inspired Supreme Betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
The border crisis, um, um, both are anti Muslim rhetoric in this country,
Mm-hmm.
and um, the way we're handling the southern border in our country, uh, and this has been over a few years. I kept saying to myself, "You need to write a book about this,"
Mm.
and that's what inspired Betrayal at the border.
Okay.
Um, it hasn't necessarily been, I think I'll write a book this year,
Yeah.
or I'll write a book in 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Okay.
It's been some incident happens
And
that
it's
inspires a novel.
okay. Now we get
Um,
it.
that's really what happened. So I mean, it would be nice if um, bad things didn't happen and I didn't feel compelled to write a book about them.
Uh,
The reason I enjoyed writing the cookbook,
yeah.
even though it was inspired by my own family's recipes,
Mm-hmm.
was it was inspired by good things, uh, not necessarily bad things that happen in America. One thing I will say
Yeah.
is I try to portray good people as well as bad,
Mm-hmm.
justice as well as injustice,
Yeah.
and offer ways to um, find justice, um, create justice out of injustice
Uh-huh.
in my novels.
Yeah.
Um, I don't sugarcoat the truth,
Mm-hmm.
but I do try to find just solutions
Okay.
in these rather terrible situations.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you very much for writing the books, because someone somewhere is going to read the books and is going to have an awakening. Have
I hope so because so far it's been an expensive hobby.
I can understand.
I need more people to look at it as a business and buy my books.
Oh yeah, they sure we are going to send them to your website, which is
Thank
Mark.
you.
Say again the
Mark
website, please.
markmbello.com. MARKMBELLO.com. Or you can find them on Amazon.
Yeah, we are going to provide the link to your website on our website,
Wonderful.
bookplacemedia.com. And
Wonderful.
we encourage people to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow as always and suggest it to people so that we can
Great.
continue to grow. So
Great.
once again, thank you very much, Mark. We appreciate and we are very glad that you've been on our show.
My
And
pleasure. Thanks for having me.
yeah, and we are wishing you much success in the message that you want to spread through the novels. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.